Hi everyone, I'm Crystal Escobar. Welcome to my channel. This week on the Wannabe Balanced podcast, I'm talking all about Seinfeld's don't break the chain strategy that I have really been adapting the past few months. And it's all about streaks, right? Streaks is like a popular thing. If you haven't noticed, most apps are capitalizing on the emotional response that we get from maintaining streaks. It's all about the chain reaction from not breaking the chain, like Seinfeld said. So what I loved about Seinfeld's whole philosophy around this, which really applies to some of the goals that I have for myself this year, which is to become better at writing, speaking, and teaching. One of his main things that he does is he consistently writes jokes every single day, and that's where the whole chain, don't break the chain concept comes from, because he had a calendar and he started marking X's for every day that he wrote a joke. He realized that he loved seeing the chain, consistent X's back to back. Not only does it give you that dopamine hit, that emotional response of pride that you have been maintaining and sticking with something consistently, but it also helps you improve whatever it is that you're hoping to improve, like writing funny jokes. So I really love the whole idea around not breaking the chain and how that can become a chain reaction and improve whatever skills you're hoping to improve for this year, and can really motivate you to stick with those goals that you have. And my biggest emphasis on creating new habits and goals is to keep it simple, because it's all about developing that trust for yourself. You got to show up consistently. It helps you develop the belief that you are a person who does what she says she's going to do. You're not just a talker, you're a doer. My goal is to ensure that I am a person who follows through. It really helps me stack the belief that I am capable of big things if I start small and consistently follow through on these little habits. Little habits. Start with the little ones and then work your way up. In this episode, I'm talking about how to quit refined sugar, alcohol, or coffee, which I think are the three main things that many of us are trying to get a handle on when it comes to our New Year's resolutions. I'm proud to say that I've gone 2.5 years without eating any refined sugars. I quit pizza, I quit bread, I quit that refined sugar. I stopped consuming it 2.5 years ago, and recently I'm on a no alcohol streak, and I'm really proud of that. I'm not saying I'm not going to drink alcohol ever, but I'm really proud of my I'm going on 3-month streak of no alcohol. And in this episode, I'm going to explain a little bit more of how I've been able to do that. So enjoy the episode. It's been 2.5 years since I quit sugar, and going on almost 3 months since I quit alcohol and coffee. Welcome to the Wannabe Balanced podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Escobar. This podcast evolved out of a little old blog I started in 2009. From my early stages of motherhood into a library of personal development topics, my journey out of Mormonism, and now weekly bite-sized episodes to spark your awareness as we integrate mind, body, and soul. So I have attempted to quit plenty of things over my lifetime, as we all have, but ever since 2020, I've discovered an entirely new level of discipline. It's like something suddenly just clicked in my brain, and I was able to conquer many of my addictions, cravings, and urges. Things I've kicked since 2020: sugar, gluten, coffee, alcohol, pizza, chocolate, my addiction to social media, gossiping, and much, much more. Since noticing this huge shift in my own ability to conquer these things, I've began to reverse engineer what has been happening to me, which is a lot. And I've actually formulated a whole process that I'm now coaching people through. But I wanted to share a small piece with you today to assist you in your New Year's resolutions for 2023. My theme this year is to become a new me in 2023. I started setting my intentions a few weeks ago, and I created a free workbook for all of you, which I've mentioned on social media and in the last episode. But if you're on my email list, then you should have received it. If not, then you can sign up via the link in the show notes of this episode. The goal with this workbook, the new me in 2023, is to clearly identify the person you're hoping to step into. Then we identify the specific habits you need to develop in order to embody that potential you have. So what I'm getting at here is that quitting anything obviously starts with habits. And I'm going to teach you what I've found to be the most effective habit forming strategy. And of course, schedule a coaching session with me if you're needing additional help and accountability. So my number one tip is something I learned from Jerry Seinfeld, which is called the don't break the chain technique, or what is perhaps better known as streaks. Have you noticed that most apps have some kind of streak feature incorporated within the app? Businesses have really caught on to the psychology and emotional response we get from streaks, which I'll explain more in a minute. But sadly, some of these apps are exploiting human emotion by triggering addictions to the dopamine rush we get from maintaining streaks. For example, Snapchat and other apps that teens are using today. My daughter has been telling me about this obsession she sees her peers having around streaks. Streaks that have absolutely no benefit whatsoever, like posting streaks. I mean, I'm talking about posting like random things, like actually having no purpose whatsoever other than wanting attention or something, but there's no real value in the things that they are posting. So, because I do posting streaks too sometimes, but I have, my goals are a lot different than, I am actually really intentional about what I post and why and the purpose around it, which is about self-expression and developing certain skills that I'm hoping to obtain when it comes to writing, speaking, and teaching. So, but I'm not trying to shame the teens either, because I mean, this is the reality that they're faced with, and it is what it is, right? So anyway, so this is this posting streak thing that they have, via the most popular app that many of the teens are using now, which is Snapchat. It's just keeping these teens on social media, which we all know isn't the healthiest for these younger minds that have less discipline when it comes to the phone. So Jerry Seinfeld's don't break the chain technique, his purpose was he wanted to get better at writing funny jokes, and he knew that the only way to write funnier jokes would be to consistently write jokes. So the goal was not to write funny jokes every day, but to just write jokes, because obviously some end up being funny and many of them were complete crap, in his own words. But the daily practice allowed for improvement and easier access to the flow, which brings me to the word chain, which I actually love when you think about the automatic behavior. Once we get these like habits in place, then these small goals that we have, which is, usually starts with trying to develop these small habits every single day. It's really just the primer. It trains the brain to understand that this chain that we're trying not to break is linked to results. And then that in and of itself becomes the reward. So the result to, for Jerry being disciplined to write jokes every single day and consistently doing it, eventually he's bound to come up with some pretty good jokes, because he's doing it every single day. It becomes a primer, it's practice, he's developing his skills, and you can then, like I said, access the flow, which it becomes a chain reaction, because the more you train your brain that something good comes out of your daily practice and consistently doing something, you begin to see the improvements, and then you, every once in a while, you strike gold with one of your jokes and it's brilliant, and then it keeps you coming back for more, with the result being the chain reaction of doing things consistently. So like that famous saying, what you don't use, you lose, and we lose it quicker than we